All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dig into something pretty wild, how one of history's greatest poets, of all people, unlocked a secret that totally changed biology, and he did it just by looking at a plant.
So let's just start with this quote right here. It's a pretty radical idea, and it comes from a super unlikely source, right? We're talking about Germany's most famous poet, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Yeah, the guy who wrote Faust. But get this, he actually believed his scientific work was way more important, his true legacy. And this one idea, it's the key to everything.
So the question is, how on earth did a poet figure this out? Well, the story goes, he's traveling through Italy, just surrounded by all this incredible lush plant life, and he gets completely obsessed. He's looking at all this crazy diversity and thinks there has to be some kind of hidden pattern, a secret law connecting it all that nobody else is seeing.
His big idea was that there must be some kind of original, archetypical plant. He called it the Erbpflanze, which is basically a blueprint that all other plants are just variations of. I mean, it makes sense, right? He said, how would I even know something is a plant if they didn't all share the same basic model? So he's looking everywhere for this one perfect plant. But, as it turns out, the answer wasn't a physical thing at all. It was something way deeper.
Yeah, his search didn't lead him to some special hidden species. Instead, it led to this incredible aha moment, an idea that would literally change biology forever. We're talking about a whole new way of seeing the world.
So there he is, walking through a garden in Sicily, and then bam, it hits him. This massive revelation, all is leaf. He suddenly realized that every single part of a plant, the stem, leaves, the little green bits that protect the bud, the colorful petals, even the tiny stamens in the fruit, it's all just the same thing, the leaf, just in a different costume.
He gave this whole process a name, the metamorphosis of plants. And the key thing to get is that it's not like a plant has a bunch of different separate parts. No, it has one part that's constantly changing, constantly transforming. He even described it as climbing a spiritual ladder, all the way from the seed up to the fruit. So this is the really crucial point. Let's nail this down. A plant doesn't have separate parts. It has one part that becomes different things. It's a shapeshifter. And Goethe had the perfect name for this ideal leaf. He called it the true Proteus, after that Greek sea god who could change his shape into anything he wanted.
Okay, so let's actually get into the evidence here. We're going to follow the life of a plant and see this for ourselves. Because you got to remember, Goethe wasn't just making up poetry here. He was an incredibly careful observer, and the proof is hiding in plain sight at every single stage of a plant's life.
All right, the whole journey kicks off with the seed leaves. The scientific name is cotyledons. These are like the first, super simple version of the leaf. A lot of times they're kind of thick and clunky. You might not even recognize them as leaves. But they are, without a doubt, where this whole amazing transformation begins. And this is just a fantastic example of how the leaf adapts. Check out the water buttercup on the left. The leaves that grow underwater are all thin and tread-like, right? That's so they can deal with the water current. But the leaves from the same plant that grow up in the air, they're broad and webbed. It's like the leaf is having a conversation with its environment and changing its shape based on what it needs. This is so cool. You can literally see the transformation happening on one single leaf. Look at this tulip. It's a stem leaf that's caught right in the middle of changing. One half is still a normal green leaf, and the other half is turning into a colored petal. I mean, come on, that's a perfect picture of Proteus, the shapeshifter, caught in the act. And here, in this rose, we see the next stage of the journey. You've got this big, beautiful petal, and you can see it starting to shrink, to contract and refine itself, until it becomes a stamen, one of the reproductive parts. It's the exact same organ, just in a totally different form. Wild.
So, you're probably wondering, how does this actually happen? What's making the leaf change? Well, Goethe didn't just see the different shapes, he saw the force behind them. He figured out there's this basic rhythm that drives the whole thing.
He saw the plant's entire life as this constant pulse, an expansion and a contraction. Think of it like breathing. So first, it breathes out, and the leaves expand from the seed. Then it breathes in, contracting to form that tight little bud. Then it breathes out again with the big, beautiful petals. Then it breathes in again, shrinking those petals into the tiny stamens. And then one last big breath out to make the fruit, and one final breath in to make the tiny seed.
And you can see that rhythm right here. The breathing out, the expansion, gives you the big open things like stem, leaves, and petals. And the breathing in, the contraction, gives you the dense, compact things like the bud and the seed. It's this constant back and forth, like the heartbeat of nature itself.
And look, this was way more than just some nice poetic idea. Goethe's theory is over 200 years old, and when he first proposed it, people were mostly just confused. But it ended up planting the seeds for a total revolution in biology, one that we're still reaping the benefits of today.
I mean, the ripple effect was huge. His work was a massive influence on the famous naturalist Alexander von Humboldt. It helped pave the way for Charles Darwin's theories. And now, today, modern genetics is actually proving him right. Scientists have found the exact genes that flip the switch and tell a leaf, okay, time to become a petal.
So why should you care about any of this? Well, for one, Goethe basically invented an entire field of science, morphology, which is just the study of form and structure. His all-is-leaf theory is still the foundation of how we understand flowers today. And this bigger idea that a couple of simple rules, like expand and contract, can create all the insane complexity we see in nature, that is a fundamental concept in all of biology.
Henry David Thoreau, the American naturalist, was a huge fan of Goethe's work, and he summed it up just perfectly. He realized that all of nature's incredible, mind-blowing creativity really just comes from one simple design.
And that brings us to a perfect final image, the pine cone. Think about it. Every single one of those woody scales, it's a modified leaf. They're all pulled together, contracted, around that central stem. And what are they doing? They're protecting the seeds for the next generation. The entire cycle, the whole story of expansion and contraction is right here in this one object.
What Goethe really did was teach us how to read nature, not as a list of separate parts, but as one single unfolding story. He taught us to see the pattern, the whole, hidden in each individual part. So the next time you're on a walk and you see a flower, you won't just see petals and leaves anymore. You'll see that shapeshifter, Proteus, telling his ancient story of transformation.